Bienvenidos a este seminario virtual en conmemoración del Día Internacional de Concienciación sobre Reducción de Pérdida y Desperdicios de Alimentos. Como en años anteriores, hoy nos damos cita para realizar un llamado de acción a todos los actores de los sistemas agroalimentarios para unir sus
Food
esfuerzos
systems to join the efforts towards comprehensive solutions that promote the transformation of agro-food systems throughout the supply chain and that will enable to prevent and reduce the food loss and waste. Food loss and waste does not only affect access to food and food safety and security, but also has a great environmental impact, and that is why it's so urgent to implement these solutions. To begin this event, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Mario Lubekin, regional representative of the FAO for Latin America and the Caribbean. Please, Mr. Lubekin. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator, and also Minister of Environment of Uruguay, who's logging in and is going to be joining us in a couple more minutes to this important exchange of information and debate. Juan Bello, representative of the Program for the Environment of the UN for Latin America and the Caribbean, Mr. Germán Stutzenegger from BID, dear panelists and members in this important meeting. May you be welcome. And I believe that today is 4 years of an intervention of this International Day of the Awareness on Food Loss and Waste, as declared in 2019 by the General Assembly of the UN, and at half of the time for the compliance of the SDGs for 2030. We have the great responsibility of assessing the progress and challenges that still persist in this matter. This is a reality that not only has social implications, economic, environmental, but also it has a direct impact, a very meaningful impact in the fight against hunger and inequality in the world. According to the latest data presented by the status of food security and nutrition security, known as SOFI, Latin America and the Caribbean show for the first time in many years a decrease in the numbers of hunger and a reduction in the prevalence of food insecurity that is moderate or severe. But this does not mean a new and positive trend, but it barely means a lot of hope that we should consolidate and strengthen, and this needs to be a collective effort. Our most recent data points out that the region, 12% in the region, 12% of food is wasted with a cost superior to $50 billion per year, a situation that is absolutely unacceptable when we still register more than 43 million people that are undernourished or malnourished, and Latin America and the Caribbean is responsible for 13% of the world production of farming and fishing products. So in this scenario, progressing to the SDG 2, zero hunger, and 12, responsible production and consumption, it is a priority and a responsibility we cannot elude. In the 2015 goals, when we adopted the 2030 agenda, countries committed to reduce to half the food waste per capita in the world in minor sales and also to consumer sales, and also to reduce the loss of food in the supply chain. These actions should not be aspirational. There should be a commitment with society and the planet, and to achieve this, we require efforts and strategies of multiple actors and stakeholders of the public sector, the academia, private sector, and civil society, many of whose participants are here with us today. So we need to continue progressing with innovative solutions that will back up family agriculture, improve distribution systems, and strengthen actions related to circular economy with greater investments and funding in surveillance, early warning systems to prevent food waste, with institutional legal frameworks that will back up all of these efforts. Public policies, investments, alliances, and cooperation are essentials to progress in the progress of the prevention of food waste and loss, with a focus on social aspect and also contributing to guarantee food security and achieve agro-food systems that are more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable. So throw food away is like stealing from the poor's table. This was said by Pope Francis. And this is unthinkable. The food waste and loss is a matter of everyone, and we should address this urgently with our day-to-day actions until the generation of policies and programs of response. We know that the road to change can and is challenging, but also it is that same path to a better world without inequality, without poverty, and without hunger. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Mario Luberkin, for your words and also for stressing that this is a reality that has social, economical, and environmental consequences, but also a direct and meaningful impact on the fight against hunger and inequality in the world. Now we're going to be joined by Juan Bello, regional representative of the UNEP for Latin America and the Caribbean. Thank you so much, Madam Moderator, and great greetings to my friend Mario Luetkin, Mr. Bouvier, who, and also to all of the experts and those people who are joining this very important event today. I would like to refer, to begin with, to the Food Waste Index report, where we talk about a very substantial truth, is that the problem of food waste does not know borders or socioeconomic uh, socioeconomic boundaries. So this is not a problem of the first world, is worldwide. So let's make a call of action that resonates all over the world, because the fight against food waste, we have some space for each nation, big and small, can play a crucial role. The report of food waste invites us to challenge these preconceived perceptions and join in this common cause. Now, I would like to point out that in the data that we have from 2019, we have a very astounding figure, which is 931 tons of food waste per year. Surprise here, beyond the scope of this figure, is that 61% comes from households, those homes that we consider to be the core of our nutrition. So this statistic is not just a number, it is a reminder, everyone, about the responsibility that we all have as consumers. As Mario said, each dish that we waste contributes to this figure, representing 17% of all of the food available for human consumption. In this scenario, the reflection becomes imperative. How can we change this trajectory and go towards an action where sustainability and respect will nourish our day-to-day activities? I would also like to say that, of course, it was mentioned earlier, food waste does not distinguish income level. In Latin America and the Caribbean, we waste 69 kilos per capita a year, with 15% of 15% of food is wasted yearly. The 15% of food that just vanishes into thin air is not just a problem of numbers, it is a call to action. We have mentioned, and we will be addressing this through the conversation today, that reducing food waste is not just an option, but it is a key thing that blocks solutions to face great environmental crises such as climate change, loss of biodiversity, and pollution. All of these also being the entry door to provide us all with a healthy and sustainable diet. And in that sense, from UNEP, we have a very important commitment, which is the commitment that countries are having. Latin America, 27 countries have been studied, and from these 27 countries, 30% already have national instruments. The 30% is drawing their path with instruments such as the National Strategy of Organic Waste in Chile, the Law for Preventing Food Waste in Ecuador, and these are very important examples, or the Food Sovereignty Law in Cuba and the Intersector Strategy in Brazil. what we see is the adoption of multi-dimensional targets that forge unique paths towards the reduction of food waste. Considering that health and sustainability go hand in hand, it is very exciting to realize that half of the 27 countries that we have been studying have raised their hand in favor of a healthy diet and responsible consumption, and this includes the policy of sustainable production and consumption in Honduras or the strategic plan of action for food security in Costa Rica. Thus, I would like to think of a future where the policies such as the complementary plan in Costa Rica or the law of traditional medicine in Bolivia don't only work to nourish our bodies, but also are a good platform to respect and ensure a healthy and sustainable environment. These are not only policies, these are commitments with a lifestyle that respects the earth that is sustaining us and that allows us to sow seeds of healthy diets and stronger ecosystems for the future generations. With this, I would like to close my words of opening, and I would like to invite you to this great commitment for reducing food waste. And I wish everyone here a wonderful event. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Mr. Bello, and also for inviting us all to this great commitment. Collaborative work of the different sectors of society is fundamental to progress in the reduction of food waste. The Zero Waste Platforms is the result of the joint work of different organizations and companies that are under the main axis of innovation, public policies, knowledge, and behavior are working for Latin America and the Caribbean that is without food loss and waste. So in that sense, we would like to share with you a small video. No waste. Food loss in Latin America and the Caribbean. 3% of the food produced are lost and wasted. In a region where 8% of the population is starving, 4% of the global emissions come from food waste and loss. To address this challenge, in 2018, we launched with No Waste with the mission of reducing food waste and loss. We do this through 5 pillars: policy, funding, innovation, knowledge, and behavior. Strategies of these, we have plans of actions to reduce food waste for 30 municipalities in Argentina, index of FLW, contest of innovation in Mexico, Argentina, Bogota, and Central America, a pilot program in Colombia and Argentina, rescuing 985 tons of food, 1,400 CO2 equivalent emissions that have been rescued, and we do also estimates on FLW and Argentina and Colombia. Together, we can reduce food loss and waste.
Gracias por el video para explicar más.
Thank you so much for the video. And to talk further on this, I'm going to give the word to Germán Stutzenegger, specialist leader of water and sanitation of BID and also a coordinator of waste. He's from the IDB. Thank you, Daniela. Sorry, I had some problems with my microphone. Like usual, there's always something like that. So thank you so much, Mario. Thank you so much, Juan, for these very inspiring words. I wanted to let you know a little bit more in greater depth what are we doing, most of us who are here, and also in coordination with some stakeholders from the public sector who are going to be joining us in the panel on this platform, which we launched in 2018. So before going to the details of how are we addressing these in a very collaborative way and identifying some synergies, I would like to highlight 2 messages on the relevance of this agenda in this very important day of creating awareness on the reduction of food loss and waste, and also the importance of working intensively in this agenda, which is the connection among the food loss and waste agenda and also the climate agenda. We have an IPCC report that estimates that about 8% of global gas emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, and probably this is also equivalent for a region or more, being an exporting region and also a raw material producing region. This is originated in food loss and waste. And what is the origin? How do we come to this 8%? And Juan also gave us a preview on this. If we analyze the characterization of solid food waste, mainly in a region, we can see that more than 50% of municipal waste that we're generating in Latin America and the Caribbean are organic waste. So, as you know, organic waste are great generators of methane, and that is a correlation. So it's important also to have clarity on this data. These 52% of organic food waste that we are generating in Latin America, a great percentage of these are precisely food waste. So by reducing the food loss and waste, we can basically have an impact in a very meaningful way on the climate agenda and also in the emission generation agenda of our region. So we reduce food loss and waste, and this will in turn reduce the percentage or the tonnage of organic waste that we generate, and that will in turn have an incidence on the number of emissions of methane mostly that we generate in a region. As you well know, methane is a gas, a greenhouse gas that is very powerful and even more warming than CO2. So working on this agenda is also a cost-effective work or about working on the climate agenda in Latin America and the Caribbean, but also at a global level. Second point I would like to make, and that Mario and Juan also mentioned, is the connection between the agenda of the reduction of food loss and waste and also the food security agenda. So as Mario was saying, we're seeing a post-pandemic trend of reduction of the levels of food insecurity, be it severe, acute, or mild, but we still have a huge challenge in that sense. More than 60 million people, about 8% of the population, are starving. And that's a very acute level of food insecurity. And working in the reduction of food waste and loss with the partners with the help of partners such as food banks, this can contribute greatly to the food security agenda in our region. And for this reason, at the end of 2018, we launched this platform that is a space of interaction and synergies between a number of partners that we wanted to call No Waste. And we've managed to build a very interesting ecosystem of stakeholders, whether you have UNEP, and also an ecosystem of companies that are very committed to this agenda, not only at a corporate level, but also at a value chain level, and even further. And also a number of partners of civil society, such as the Global Network of Food Banks and others, that really allow us in the day-to-day identify some synergies, work collaboratively, and at the end of the day, generate this a network effect where the impact that we have is not the sum of partners or those who are part of the platform, but also the impact is squared. So that is what we're looking for in this sense. You saw this on the video very quickly, and Daniela was commenting on this as well. We work through 5 branches of action. One of them is innovation. So we want to introduce innovation at every level in the agenda of food loss and waste, in terms of material, increase of shelf life. And we have an ecosystem of companies and entrepreneurs that are working on this topic. And this ecosystem of entrepreneurs is one of the things that we want to shed some light on, and we also want to escalate them from this no waste platform. We have a lot of innovation in terms of projects, and this is one of the main pillars we're working on. Second is public policies. And today we're going to see some examples. And Juan was commenting on some as well, of support to national strategies of food waste. The minister will tell us about the upcoming launching for the strategy of Uruguay, a great effort that we support from the No Waste platform and with great public policy importance for the country. And we did the same in Mexico, Argentina, And of course, public policies mean also to work in the generation of capacities on a national level, subnational level, and municipal level as well. Let's remember this connection between the agenda of food waste and the agenda of solid waste management. And we need to work on topics of knowledge. Maybe some good news is that we are starting to better quantify the levels of food waste in a region by chain, geographic area, etc. So we can understand those market failures that explain why we waste 12% and why do we waste about 17% of the foods that we produce for human consumption. So understand those failures of the market is also key to generate solutions. This is a behavior agenda, of course, that goes from small producers to consumers, and it is important to work on this across the board. And what we want to do here with this platform is to activate funding. So at the end of the day, for things to happen, we need to have financial muscles that will mobilize actions, projects, and that will mobilize the generation of capacities. And without waste is part of this effort of activating and scaling funding for this agenda. Just to wrap up and start the panel, I would like to highlight the great connection of the food loss and waste agenda with the climate agenda, with the food security agenda. The Inter-American Development Bank is a development bank, and for us, this is a priority because we connect with many SDGs, not only with a specific one, which is 12.3, but with all their more transversal objectives that are very important for our region as well. So with that, thank you for the space. We continue to work collaboratively, and in this very special day for this agenda, we would like to invite you to join us in this crusade for Latin America and the Caribbean without waste. So thank you, Daniela, and back to you. Thank you very much, Germán, for your presentation. This virtual seminar is broadcasted on FAO America's channel in English and Spanish, and also in the Twitter account of FAO Americas for the broadcast in Spanish and FAO Caribbean for English. Greetings, everyone who are following us, and we would like to invite you to share all of your messages through social networks. Continue, we give some room to the space of dialogue with our important panel members that we have today, and this is going to be moderated by Sara Granados in FAO. Go ahead, Sara. Thank you so much, Daniela. Good morning, everyone. We're going to begin the panel now. We have the honor of having live with us Mr. Robert Cuvier, Minister of the Environment of Uruguay, Juan Pardo, Director of Corporate Affairs of Nestlé Mexico Partners in Waste, and Catalina Soares, Senior Director of Strategy and Innovation of the Global Food Banking Network. And we will also have the video greetings of the Minister of Agriculture of Chile, and Sonia Rojas, Deputy of Costa Rica and Regional Coordinator of the Parliamentary Front Against Hunger in Latin America and the Caribbean. So to begin with the second part of the webinar, we have the greetings of Mr. Valenzuela from Chile, who sent us a video. Please play the video.
Vamos, DEPA y FAO. Tenemos que lograr como ministerio.
Let's go, FAO. As a minister, we need to be more proactive in preventing food loss and waste. We have some pilot programs, we have some positive elements in Lo Vallador market here and the micro food banks that have been fostered by the Ministry of Development, the Ministry of Social Development, but we still have a long way to go. And that is in the design. We're designing the law to achieve agreements so this can be an efficient and effective law. This is fundamental for Chile also in this dimension, have some leadership with results and not just with rhetoric. And we need to achieve this among all of us. So congratulations for this work.
Muy bien, muchas gracias.
Very well then, thank you so much. And now we will continue with Minister Bouvier. Minister, good morning. It's a pleasure to greet you. Uruguay just launched their national strategy for the prevention and reduction of food loss and waste. Could you please share with us what are the strategic pillars of the strategy? What goals have you set for the implementation? And maybe I would like to join this question with a plan that was approved in 2019 in Uruguay. Uruguay approved the comprehensive law of management of waste, and in 2021, this plan as well. So if you could also comment about how this national strategy of prevention and reduction of food loss and waste is complemented and integrated with this legal framework of waste management that the country already has. So please go ahead. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning. It is a pleasure to me to share this panel with all of you. It is a very relevant topic, and especially in these weeks where personally I wanted to be live just to show how important it is for our government and our ministry, everything that has to do with the global aspect of waste. So this is a line of waste of our national strategy of waste that we have framed in several lines. This is a comment. I would like to tell you that the Ministry of the Environment in our country is a very young ministry. It was created in this administration. It has 2 years of life, and without a doubt, this was a very important decision as a country, as a government, to create it because it put in the same lines the environmental policies with other environmental policies. So that, without a doubt, is a very strong blow from the point of view of what is important for our government and what is a priority. Regarding the question of national strategy for the food loss and waste prevention, on Monday we launched our national strategy, which is the fruit of the interaction of more than 50 civil associations, business chambers, and entities related to food production, representatives of the academia. We made a very participative consultation, and for us that is very important, the involvement of all of the society, the civil society, because without a doubt, when we come to launch a strategy, we need to provide support, and what better support than provided with all the members, those who are actively participating in this problematic. So the mission that we have is in the framework of notifications and actions with the purpose of prevent, reduce, and manage food loss and waste in our country. We also have 4 pillars. First is the strengthening and integration of public policies. What we want to do here is to consolidate governance and the normative framework, as well as public policies that prevent the prevention, reduction, and measurement of food loss and waste. Second is the sustainable value chain scale. We want to involve food production stakeholders to reduce food loss and waste in an effective and long-lasting way, providing a positive impact in the use of resources and the mitigation of climate change. Third, access, recuperation, and recirculation of food. Wants to establish um, a more circular use of food, contributing to the improvement of national food use and also improving organic food waste. And also, lastly, better care for food is the mistake of all of us as consumers, and how do we modify our behaviors regarding food through investigation, training, communication, through which we acknowledge economic value, cultural, social, environmental, or food. We set medium, short, and long-term goals. So at long term is aligned with the SDGs and with the National Waste Management Plan. We want to reduce by 50% the food waste in the chain in retail levels and also at consumer sales. We also want to aim at 70% of food waste generated should be given value, and with the compliance of these goals, want to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 70% that take place because of food waste and loss. Second part is, as this strategy was said, we complement this with our national management plan. Without a doubt, this is completely in line with our national food waste management. This is a national policy that has had a great progress. It has been a priority for our government, and let's say that we are committed at the end of 2024 to have a zero open pit landfills. And this is the key that we have to go backwards, to create awareness in our citizenship and our municipal governments and also apartment governments in what we're going to have the classification of waste. When we know that we have the final stage of waste addressed, we're going to have the empathy of all of our citizenship in terms of our classification and everything else regarding waste. So without a doubt, the agenda is very articulated. We have some common assets and also is getting feedback. We want to reduce food waste with final consumers considering environmental, social, and economic conditions that result in this waste. So this strategy has a global environmental vision linked to greater efficiency in the use of resources and the mitigation of climate change. It has a strong social component because it has an impact in the strengthening of food safety and wants to improve access to food, especially for the most vulnerable populations. In this sense, we work for the transition with fairer and more equitable food systems. This contributes to greatly to a country that produces food, such as it is our own. So I wanted to explain how this is linked, and I would like to congratulate you for this panel. I would like to congratulate you for putting this topic on the table. This is a very important topic. I was listening closely to the speakers before me, and when we talk about the situations, when we show the numbers, this is very shocking. We need to continue focusing on this. We need to continue creating awareness in a country and a government who are working on that, focus on creating collective awareness and environmental programs. And the world is spinning rapidly, and luckily, these environmental topics are gaining greater importance. So we need to continue working strongly in this topic. And again, congratulations and have a wonderful day. Thank you very much, Mr. Rubier. And also congratulations to Uruguay for these efforts that they're carrying forth and for this comprehensive vision of agro-food systems and their impact in the climate action. So thank you so much. And now we're going to go to a video greeting from Costa Rica. As I was saying, from Sonia Rojas, that currently is the new regional coordinator of the Parliamentary Center for Latin America and the Caribbean. So let's run the video. Thank you so much.
Reciban todos y todas ustedes un caluroso
May you
saludo
all
cordial
get
del Frente
some
Parlamentario
warm
de Lucha contra
greetings
el Hambre de
from
América
the
Latina
Parliamentary Front
en esta
Against Hunger in Latin
conmemoración del
America
Día
in this
Internacional de
commemoration of the
Concientización
International
sobre
Day
Reducción
of the
de
creation of
Pérdidas y
awareness
Desperdicios.
on the
También
reduction
quisiera
of food
extender un saludo muy
loss and waste. I
afectuoso
would like
al
to
señor
also
Mario Luberquín,
send kind greetings to
director
Mario
de la
Lubekin,
Oficina de la FAO para
Director
América
of the
Latina y
FAO
Caribe,
Office for
y
Latin
a
America
todas
and the
las
Caribbean,
autoridades presentes.
and also to all of
Como
the
sabemos, el
authorities
aumento
present
de los
here.
precios de los
As we
alimentos,
know,
la
the increase
energía
of
y los
food prices,
fertilizantes
energy,
puede
and
producir aún más
fertilizers
hambre y
can cause
malnutrición en
even
todas
more
sus
hunger
formas.
and
En el
malnourishment in
proceso
all
de
of its
recuperación
forms.
de esta crisis
In the
global,
process of
la
recovery of
reducción de
this
la pérdida y el
global
desperdicio de
crisis, the
alimentos
reduction
es
of
un
food
tema
loss and
que debe estar
waste
presente
is a
en la
topic
agenda
that needs to
gubernamental
be
de los
present
países,
in the
ya que
government
se estima que
agenda
el
of countries
13% de los
because we
alimentos del
estimate
mundo
that
se pierden
13%
en
of
la
the
cadena de
of food in the world is
suministros,
wasted in
desde la
the
post cosecha
supply chain
antes de la
from
etapa de venta
post-harvest,
al por
before
menor,
the stage of sales,
otro
in the
17% se
retailers,
desperdicia
another
en los hogares,
17% is
servicios
wasted
de
in
alimentos
households,
y en el comercio
food
minorista.
services, and in
Reducir la
retail
pérdida
as well.
y el desperdicio de alimentos
Reducing
contribuye
food
a mejorar la
loss and
sostenibilidad
waste
y la
contributes to improve
resiliencia de
sustainability
nuestros sistemas
and resilience
agroalimentarios.
of our
Para el
agri-food
Frente
systems.
Parlamentario es fundamental posicionar en la
For
agenda
us, it is
política
fundamental to
de nuestros
position in the
países
political agenda
la
of
importancia
our
de legislar
countries
para
the
reducir la
importance
pérdida
of
y el
legislating to
desperdicio
reduce
de
food
alimentos
loss
en
and
Iberoamérica,
waste
para así avanzar
in
hacia una consecución
Latin
de
America and the
sistemas
Caribbean to move
agroalimentarios sostenibles y resilientes.
to
una recuperación
achieve resilient,
transformadora para
sustainable
alcanzar
agri-food
una
systems,
agenda
transformative
2030.
recovery
Lo
to
anterior lo
get
haremos
an
en
2030
seguimiento de los
agenda that is
compromisos
sustainable.
asumidos
And we will
con
do
motivo
this
de la
following
Cumbre
with the
Mundial Parlamentaria
assumed
contra el Hambre y la
commitments
Malnutrición,
from the
celebrada en
summit
Chile el
of
pasado mes de
parliaments that
junio
was
y
held
donde
in
más de
Chile
200
in June,
parlamentarios
where
del
we have a
mundo
summit where more
nos
than 200
comprometimos
more
a impulsar
uh,
juntos esta agenda.
members of parliament in the world committed
Las
to
claves se
promote this agenda
encuentran
together.
en la toma de
The
decisiones
keys are
basada en la
found in the decision
instalación,
making
el impulso y la
based on
aprobación de leyes de
information,
reducción de
the
PDA
promotion and
y
the
en la
approval
aplicación
of
de un programa
PDA
público-privado que
laws, and also
promueve
in the
el
application
consumo
of a
local,
public and private
el
partnership
apoyo
that
a los pequeños
promotes local
agricultores
consumptions,
y la
support to small
sensibilización de
farmers,
los
and also the awareness
consumidores para
of
avanzar
products
hacia hábitos
and
y
consumers to
prácticas más
progress to
sostenibles.
habits
En ese
that
sentido,
are,
quisiera hacer un
and also habits
llamado
and
a los
practices that are more
parlamentarios
sustainable.
nacionales y regionales
So I
a
would like
seguir
to call to
profundizando la labor de
parliament
los frentes
members in the region
parlamentarios
and
en
other countries
materia
to
de
continue
PDA
promoting the
y
work
juntos
of
posicionemos
parliament
en lo
members
más alto
in
de las
food
agendas,
loss and waste, so
tal
we
y
can
como están
position
trabajando los
high on the
santos de El
agenda,
Salvador,
just as it is
República
being worked in El
Dominicana,
Salvador,
Uruguay,
Dominican
Costa
Republic,
Rica o los
Uruguay,
países que ya
Costa
cuentan con
Rica,
este tipo de
all the
legislación como
countries that
Perú
already
y
have this
Colombia.
type of legislation, such as
También quisiera
Peru and
destacar el
Colombia.
ejemplo del
I would also like
Palatino
to
en nuestra
highlight the
agenda
example
y
of
felicitar en
the
concreto a su presidenta,
Palatino
la
in this
senadora
agenda, and
Silvia
also
Jacob,
congratulate their president,
por todo el
Madam
trabajo de
Silva Jacobo,
elaboración
for all
y
of
la
the work
aprobación de la ley modelo de
of
PDA.
making the improvement of
Y
the
antes de
model
finalizar mi
law of food
intervención,
loss and waste.
quisiera
And before
agradecer
finishing my
muy
intervention,
especialmente
I would like to
a todos y
also
todas los
thank
participantes que nos acompañan
all
el
of the
día de hoy,
participants
así
who are
como el
joining
público
us
que nos
today,
sigue a través
as
de la
well as
transmisión en
the
vivo.
members of the audience
Espero que
who are
sea una
following us
jornada
in the
fructífera
live
de trabajo y
broadcast.
cuenten
I hope
siempre
this is a great day
con
of
el
work,
apoyo
and
del Frente
please always
Parlamentario
count with the
en sus
support of the
países para
parliamentary front
implementar
in your
esta agenda
countries
común.
to implement this common agenda. Thank you very much.
Bueno, muchas gracias. Continuamos
Thank you
entonces.
very much. We continue now with the round of this panel. Now we go with Mr. Juan Pardos. Juan,
Desempeña un papel clave en la
the
agenda
private
de
sector
prevención de
plays an
pérdidas y
important
desperdicios
role
de
in the
alimentos,
agenda
pero
of
es
food
importante
loss and waste
consolidar
prevention, but it is
estrategias y
important that it's not
acciones
limited to the
en el ámbito de
implementation of
los
actions
indicadores de sostenibilidad.
in the
En segundo
environment
lugar,
of
debe integrar estas
sustainability
acciones en
strategies.
la
We also
totalidad
should
de las estrategias
incorporate these
corporativas
actions in
y
the
hacia el marco
totality
de
of the
cadena de valor. En este
corporate
contexto,
strategies and
¿cómo
also throughout the
Nestlé
value chain.
puede, como
In this
socios de la
context, how
plataforma de
Nestlé, as a
desperdicio
partner of
y
the
reducción de
No Waste
pérdidas y
platform, how
desperdicio de
have you
alimentos a nivel corporativo,
worked on the reduction
podría
of food
contar
loss and waste
ejemplos
at a corporate level? Can you give us some
cómo estas
specific
iniciativas se han
examples
traducido en
of
cambios
how
en
these
materia?
initiatives have become
Adelante, Juan.
practices?
Claro que
Please,
sí, Sara,
Juan.
muchas gracias. Gracias
By
por la
all means,
invitación y bueno,
thank
como
you
bien
very
sabemos, la red de
much.
bancos de
Thank you so much
alimentos
for
en
the
México
invitation.
sobra más
And
de
the
lo que
network
gasta.
of food banks
Y
of
eso es porque nos damos
in
cuenta
Mexico, we're wasting more
hay
than
una
what we're lacking.
oportunidad
And we realize that
donde
there's an opportunity
hay
where
alimento y que más bien
we
es
have
un uso
food and
inadecuado de lo
it
que se
is an
está haciendo con
unsuitable
él.
management of
Es
what
lo
is
que
being done
necesitamos
with
concientizar
what
primero y
we
a través de
need.
estos
So we need to create awareness, as it was
eventos
said already
que
here
por parte del BID
by the
hay una
IDB.
necesidad muy
And
importante
we
de
have a very
nosotros como
important need
empresas
for
de
us
poder
as a
manejar
companies
y
of
llevar
improving the management of the inventories,
de los procesos
of
de devolución, o
the
sea,
processes of
esta concientización que se
return,
hace
and
por
all of this
parte de
creation of awareness that is
políticas
done in
públicas,
the public
cómo
policies part,
nosotros a través de las marcas
and
podemos
how
apoyar
do we, through
campañas de
brands,
publicidad
can
y campañas de
make some
comunicación, cómo
advertisement
podemos
plans and
cocinar
communication
sin
campaigns, and how
desperdicio,
can we
¿no?
cook
Esto lo estamos
without
haciendo a través
waste?
de
And
la
this is
sin
something
desperdicio, así le hemos llamado nosotros.
that we're doing with recipes without waste. That's the name we gave it to it. And also with the program of Nestle for healthy children that we have worldwide, we want to see how can we make recipes with what we used to consider waste. So what's most important here is that this should be in the values of the company. And this is something that needs to be done top down. We need to see that actions are in agreement with what we say. We need to have actions that agree.
Haber participado en Pacto por la Comida aquí
We
en
need to talk about the impact on food in Mexico,
desde su creación,
in no waste from its creation. Another program they have, Nutrition for Farmer, that worldwide we go back to the suppliers of the chains where we supply ourselves from to support them.
una carencia alimentaria, en fin,
we
Yo
have
creo
some
que
food
el
lag. So
pensar fuera de la caja y el
thinking
entender
out of the box here
que
and
toda la
understanding
pérdida y
that
desperdicio de alimentos
the
es
whole of
una
the
pérdida
food
o
waste
algo
and
que
loss,
significa
everything that we have
reducción,
in favor
también
of
puede significar un
recovery
impacto,
can
sobre todo
also
para los
mean
que
an
menos tienen,
income,
y es
especially for
las
those who don't have a
organizaciones y
lot.
cadenas desde
And
el
I'm
inicio de la
thinking also
cadena.
about the chains from the beginning of the chain.
La
Um,
concientización, eso es muy
the creation
importante,
of awareness, this is
como
very
les digo, para
important.
nosotros,
And as I say,
no nada
for
más verlo
us,
hacia adentro,
in
nosotros
not
somos una
just
empresa
looking
que
inwards, we're
desde
a
el 2016
company that since
removimos
2016
cero residuos a relleno
are
sanitario dentro de las
zero
fábricas y
waste
dentro
to
de las
landfills
distribuciones
in
que
our
tenemos en
factories
México,
and distribution
pero
centers
aún
that we have
así
in Mexico.
eso
And
no es suficiente.
even
La
like
concientización
this, that's
y
not
la
enough.
traducción de esto
Awareness and the
como
translation of this in public
y la
policies
visibilización, diríamos
and the
nosotros, creo que el mayor
visualization, as we would call it, I
aprendizaje
believe
es
the greatest chain that
rescatar
we
esa
could do
visibilización
is
y
to provide
mantener
this
día a día
visualization and at the end of the
los
day
patrones de
see
consumo cambian.
that the
Ahí es donde
consumption
nosotros
patterns
vemos la oportunidad.
change. And that is where we
Por
see
supuesto que hay
opportunities.
muchísimo
We are
por
aware that we have a lot to
todavía,
be done. But
gracias
today,
a esfuerzos
without a
como sin
doubt, thanks
desperdicio,
to efforts
como
such
lo
as
dijo
no
Germán
waste, as Germán
hace
said
un rato, pues obviamente empezamos
some
a
time
darle más
ago, we
visibilización
start
y
giving
en
this
conjunto con otras
visualization
organizaciones
together
como
with other
como
organizations such as
lo que se
FAO
puede hacer es
and UNEP.
modificar
What we're
la
trying to
forma
do
de
here is
verlo,
to
porque
modify the way of
desde
thinking because
donde viene
from
el
there
cambio que
is where
podemos
we
hacer
have
y bueno,
the
pues el
change that
ente
we could do.
la
So,
red
of
global
course,
de bancos de
the
alimentos
global network of food
ha sido
banks
fundamental para
has
nosotros,
been
para todos, ¿no?
fundamental for
Para que esto
us
pueda ser un
worldwide.
diferencial
So
y
this
ver
can
de una
be
manera muy
a
clara lo que se
difference.
puede
So we
hacer
can
por
see
otras personas
clearly
y poder
what we
lograr
can do for other people.
equilibración
So we
de lo
can
que debería
achieve
ser
this leveling
dónde
of
sobra y dónde falta. Y
what could
reitero,
be, where do
por más
we,
de lo que
where are we
falta,
missing?
poquito somos buenos. Es por
We
eso que
have
la concientización a
more
través de
waste
este
than
tipo de
what we're
esfuerzos
lacking.
es
And that is what we
fundamental
need to
para que
create
todo
awareness
esto
on this type
generase
of
un
efforts.
relevo
And that's
y
fundamental
pueda
so the
contribuir
population
a
can
reducir.
help us to reduce food waste.
Muchas gracias, Juan, por tus palabras
Thank
y por
you very much, Juan, for your words and also for sharing your experience and the practices of the private sector. That's key for the reduction of this problem. And now to consolidate this space, I would like to address this question to Ana Catalina Suarez from the Global Food Banking Network. Ana Catalina, the agenda of reduction of food loss and waste not only addresses food insecurity, but also has a meaningful impact on the environment, as we have been seeing already in several points on this dialogue. How do we contribute to the reduction of food loss and waste to reduction to the climate agenda? How do we integrate this in the global um, uh, food bank network? Greetings to you. Thank you so much for the invitation. To you, the IDB, FAO, and all of the team, and clearly to the UNEP team. Thank you so much for creating this space, and also to our partners of Nestle. And I was following the chat. Greetings to everyone who's logging in from Chile, Argentina, Mexico, Colombia, from so many countries. They have been connecting right now, and this is very important. So firstly, the Global Food Bank Network, we work in 47 countries now. We came to about 1,000 food banks rescuing actively food in all of the food chain, from the uh, sector of farming services, going from manufacturing, processing, distribution, and we could prevent that 380 million of food that was still up for human consumption did not end up in landfills. And that is one of the first things we want to talk about. We estimate that today about 50% of waste that arrive to landfills are organic waste, and that 18% of the emissions of methane, as it was mentioned earlier by Germán, come from those foods that come to landfills. So we have a huge challenge on the amount of greenhouse gas emissions that are generated by the foods that we're just chucking in the bin throughout the supply chain. Without mentioning the number of emissions generated in fruits and vegetables that we can never rescue in the farm or harvest, and then that being used in other processes. Additional to that, three things that I find relevant and worth mentioning here. First, we estimate that every year we're going to have more people affected in situations of vulnerability by droughts, rainfall, flooding, and these are becoming worse because of climate conditions. And the second thing is we have a loss of quality and amount of available food for the whole population that is affecting again the most vulnerable population currently. And what does that mean? Is that climate change is not only affecting us all, but equally is also affecting the poorest of them all, and by destroying their places they inhabit, and also by reducing the amount and the quality of food they can have access to. So the agenda of food loss and waste has a direct connotation, not only with matters of food, nutrition and security, and also with climate change matters. And in the close future, we want to reduce the food loss and waste. The reduction of them is going to be essential to reduce climate change by the reduction of emissions with the emphasis on methane. And I'd like to also mention what Germán says. I would like to mention what he said regarding that we estimate that the methane emissions are 20 times or 86 times more powerful than CO2 in a range of 20 years. What does that mean? Reducing emissions of methane will help us to reduce in the next 20 years in a very accelerated way the global warming. And as everyone knows, we're doing poorly in the compliance of 1.5. The Agreement of Paris was setting huge challenges that we're not complying with, and we can only do that together. And food loss and waste agenda will contribute to this as well. From food banks, we're first incorporating all of these climate change agenda in the tasks that we're carrying out. Currently, we are working in the methodology that is going to be measuring the emissions of methane that are prevented by the reduction and prevention of food loss and waste, which meaningfully will allow all of our allies to the supply chain to show the impact on climate change that wants to prevent food loss and waste. Food banks are also working on improving the data that allow us to report the work that we are carrying out. Because traditionally, we were talking about the people that were getting this service and their and the nutritional impact, and that's not a minor thing, but we have not come to see, based on the Paris Agreement, what are the emissions that jointly we are reducing between the private sector and the food banks. So we are expanding this. We were last week in the UN Assembly talking about the interconnection of climate change, hunger, and reduction of food loss and waste. We're going to be on COP28 with one day dedicated to food systems and the relevance in speaking about food loss and waste as a quick path to reduce climate change. So this work is very important from food banks, and we kindly invite you to make the decision of not destroy food and join us. Sarah, the last comment I would like to make is that we believe in the global network of food banks where we need to fix the food systems as a whole. But we're also convinced that as long as the structural actions take place, it is necessary to reduce food loss and waste with joint action with food banks. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Ana, Catalina, and thanks everyone, all of the panel members today for having joined us in this session of conversation and dialogue. We're clear that agri-food systems leave an imprint. If we see this as a whole, an agri-food system that is comprehended by a supply chain where we have a whole series of actions and practices, food environment where we all agree, where we try to draw limits on which we work and how do we develop different actions to comply with these objectives that we find in these agri-food systems. So these objectives to nutrition, sustainability, resilience, inclusion, and the benefits through the system are available for everyone. So we have an evident network, an evident imprint, and this is clear when we observe the amount of food that we waste. And this is a very visible evidence of that imprint that the agrofood system leaves. And that if we go forward in the prevention and reduction, we're going to be finding to solve several of these failures that the system has. Here we'll be talking about several actions and what is the importance both of the personal actions and corporate actions and state actions, so we can progress in this prevention and reduction. How can we progress to the transformation of a more sustainable agri-food system? So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Thanks to everyone who joined us on the live stream, on the Zoom call, and we would like to invite you to go to our corporate websites to get more information about this topic. Especially, I would like to leave under your radar a new app of food waste that was launched today in the commemoration as a global level. This app will allow us to do a monitoring of food or loss in certain chains, and we have certain examples already. So we hope that you can use this app, and we hope that later we can have also an app for waste. And you can rewatch these on the FAO Americas account and also all of the accounts of FAO. And to all of the participants who joined us today, thank you so much. Thank you for joining this community where food is life and that we need to recover it and transform it. So thank you so much, and until the next one.